my gosh, just a kiss.
Who's that?
Tommy Sean.
No, who's the boy?
Tim.
Ben.
Ben. No, my boyfriend. It's kissing my boyfriend. My boyfriend. He's so ugly. It's kissing my boyfriend. No, my boyfriend.
Oh. You okay, Bella?
Mommy, do that again. One more.
Are you okay?
Can I see?
Wait, are you okay?
Uh-huh.
You mad? Why you mad?
Because she kissed my boyfriend.
So you like him? Why you like him?
Because I like to kiss him.
Why you want to kiss him?
Because that's my boyfriend.
Because that's your boyfriend.
That's my husband.
That's your husband.
A quiet Louisiana neighborhood, a missing child, and a discovery so disturbing it left even seasoned detectives shaken. Surveillance cameras capture a woman in the dead of night. She's pulling a white bucket down the street, calmly, methodically, like it's just another errand. But what's inside is something no one could have imagined. What would drive someone to commit such an unthinkable act? And why was the evidence left in the one place guaranteed to cause the most pain? Harahan, Louisiana. A small, quiet town just outside New Orleans. The kind of place where neighbors wave, children ride their bikes without worry, and life moves at an easy pace. But on the morning of April 26, 2023, that sense of peace was shattered. 6-year-old Bella Fontanelle was the kind of child who lit up every room she walked into. Bright-eyed, full of energy, and adored by her family. She lived with her father and his longtime girlfriend, Hannah Landon, in a home just a short walk from her mother's house. To the outside world, Bella's life seemed normal. But in the early hours of that April morning, something went terribly wrong. Bella's father woke up to an empty house. His girlfriend, Hannah Landon, was gone. But more importantly, so was Bella. There was no sign of forced entry. No noise in the middle of the night. Just an uneasy silence. At first, he might have hoped for a simple explanation, but as the minutes ticked by, dread set in. Then, the call to 911. The panic in his voice. His 6-year-old daughter was missing. Police arrived at the home, treating it as both a missing persons case and a potential crime scene. They searched the house, the yard, the surrounding streets. But there was no immediate sign of Bella or Hannah Landon. Then, just 2 blocks away, officers came across something unusual. A large, white 10-gallon bucket sitting in the front yard of Bella's mother's home. It was out of place. And when they looked closer, what they found inside would leave the entire town in shock. The moment officers lifted the lid of that white bucket, the reality of what had happened became clear. Inside was the lifeless body of 6-year-old Bella Fontanelle. It was a discovery so horrific that even seasoned detectives struggled to process it. The crime scene was surreal. A plastic bucket, something ordinary, something harmless, now held the remains of an innocent child. And where it was left, that was no accident. It was deliberate, intentional, placed in the front yard of Bella's own mother's home. The message was unmistakable, but the meaning behind it? That was something investigators had to figure out. The coroner's report would confirm what officers already suspected. Bella had suffered blunt force trauma and strangulation. This wasn't a tragic accident. This was murder. For what? And more importantly, who? Investigators didn't have to look far for answers. They turned their focus to the people closest to Bella. Her father, her mother, and the woman who had suddenly vanished, Hannah Landon. Why was Bella placed inside a bucket? Was this a staged crime, or something more personal? And where was Hannah Landon? Then came the footage. The moment that turned a horrifying crime into something even more disturbing. Surveillance cameras from a nearby home captured the scene. In the stillness of the night, a woman moves slowly down the sidewalk. She's pulling something behind her, a large, white bucket with wheels. There's no rush, no hesitation. Just a steady, deliberate pace, as if she were taking out the trash. But this wasn't trash. Inside that bucket was 6-year-old Bella Fontanelle. The eerie calmness of the footage sent chills through investigators. There was no sign of panic. No urgency to cover her tracks. Instead, Hannah Landon walked through the neighborhood like she had all the time in the world. She wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She was disposing of a child's body in the most calculated way possible, and doing it just 2 blocks from where Bella's mother lived. The implications were clear. This wasn't just about getting rid of evidence. It was personal. But who was Hannah Landon? And what could drive someone to commit such an unthinkable act? To those who knew her, Hannah Landon wasn't a stranger to Bella's family. She had been in a relationship with Bella's father for years, living under the same roof as the little girl. By all appearances, she was a quiet, reserved woman, someone who mostly kept to herself. But behind closed doors, tensions had been brewing for a long time. Hannah's relationship with Bella's biological mother had always been strained. There had been past conflicts, disputes at soccer games, confrontations at swimming events. Moments where emotions flared, and where, according to reports, Hannah's behavior toward Bella's mother had been less than friendly. But was it just typical family tension? Or was it something darker? A growing resentment, a bitterness that had been festering for years. As investigators pieced together the timeline, one question loomed large. Was this a crime of deep-seated jealousy? Or was there something even more calculated at play? As investigators closed in, the question remained, where was Hannah Landon? She had been seen on surveillance footage calmly wheeling a bucket containing Bella Fontanelle's body through the neighborhood. But after that, she had disappeared. No sign of her at Bella's father's home. No frantic escape. No desperate attempt to flee the state. Instead, she was found somewhere completely unexpected. A local hospital. Hours after Bella's body was discovered, Hannah Landon was located at a medical facility where she had checked herself in. There was no immediate explanation. No confession. Just a woman who had walked away from one of the most disturbing crimes this town had ever seen and placed herself in a hospital. Was it guilt? A failed attempt at avoiding the inevitable? Or part of a much deeper, calculated plan? But whatever her reasoning, police weren't about to let her slip away. On April 26, 2023, she was formally taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder and obstruction of justice.
Ed LaPree, I'm the Harahan Police Chief. This morning I was out of town at a conference, an FBI conference down in Orlando. I got a call from my staff in reference to a missing child. Immediately after learning more information, I reached out to the sheriff and the other chiefs that were with me at the conference. All offered to help. The sheriff and his staff, I can't thank them enough for coming in and working with our guys. Our guys responded. They were doing the right things. We just needed a little extra help, and I appreciate the sheriff for coming in and offering the assistance to develop this case. They were keeping me abreast on the hour. They got me an earlier flight. I just got back in from out of town, but I appreciate everything. The city of Harahan is still safe. It is a safe city. There's no threat to the public right now. There is an arrest. There is a case being worked. The sheriff, as we get more information, and if it's necessary to report, we will. But at this time, I appreciate all the outside agencies that came in, gave assistance to us. We're a small town. We're a safe town, and I just want the citizens to know that my heart and my prayers go out to the family of this child. This is a senseless type incident that happened, but I can assure you that the Harahan Police Department and the Sheriff's Office are there for the family, and we keep them in our prayers, and I thank you.
The calm, composed woman from the surveillance footage was now in handcuffs, facing the full weight of the law. But even as she sat in custody, one chilling question remained unanswered. Why? What kind of person commits a crime like this? Investigators and psychologists alike were left to analyze her behavior. Hannah Landon hadn't acted on impulse. There was no sign of a struggle, no desperate escape plan, no chaotic crime scene. Instead, there was control, calculation, a methodical disposal of evidence, carried out in a way that suggested she wanted the body to be found. But why? Was this premeditated? A crime fueled by deep resentment and jealousy? Or was it an explosion of rage that spiraled into something much worse? The way she moved that night, the way she calmly walked through the neighborhood, rolling a bucket with unspeakable contents, it told a story. One without panic, without hesitation, without remorse. And that may be the most terrifying part of all. The news spread like wildfire. A 6-year-old girl, taken in the most unthinkable way. A small, quiet town that had never seen a crime like this was suddenly thrust into a nightmare. Parents clutched their children a little tighter. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones, unable to process the horror that had unfolded in their own backyard. And Bella Fontanelle's family? They were left shattered. Vigils were held. Candles flickered in the night as the community mourned a life taken far too soon. Strangers left flowers and stuffed animals outside Bella's mother's home, the same place where her body had been left in that white bucket. It was a crime that had no explanation, no justification. And the one person who could answer the biggest question of all, why, remained silent. But silence wouldn't stop justice. Hannah Landon was charged with first-degree murder and obstruction of justice. If convicted, she could face life in prison. The case is set to go to trial in 2025, and prosecutors have made one thing clear: they intend to seek the harshest possible punishment. For Bella's family, no sentence could undo what had been done. But they weren't staying quiet. They spoke out, demanding justice for their little girl. Their message was clear: this wasn't just a crime. It was a betrayal. A child had been stolen. A family had been destroyed. And it had all come at the hands of someone they once trusted. But was this truly about jealousy? Or was there something even darker beneath the surface? A small town left in shock. A family left in pieces. And a question that may never have a satisfying answer: why? Hannah Landon was more than just a stranger. She was part of Bella Fontanelle's life. She lived under the same roof, ate at the same table. And yet, she carried out a crime so heartless, so deliberate, that it left even investigators struggling to understand. Was this a calculated act of revenge? A crime driven by jealousy, years of resentment boiling over into something unthinkable? Or was it something even more disturbing, an act with no emotion at all? Cold, detached, methodical. What do you think? Was this premeditated, or was it a crime of passion? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this case as chilling as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story.